Welcome back to Ecolution. I'm Evie Kenny, and yep, I'm the host. So, as you all know by now, this is our YouTube spin-off of the podcast, a chance to talk more about some of the things brought up in the audio version. That show is available now wherever you get your podcasts, and this time we were looking into education. Me, you, the panel, we all go to school. And I wanted to have a conversation about what we learn about the climate crisis in schools. Emily, Hugh, Yu Ming and Chloe are back to help me get to the bottom of this subject. So let's go. Right, so each of you has a pretty good understanding of the changes that we're seeing in our environment. So, to start, can you tell me a bit about where you first began to learn about environmental issues? Chloe, who started the conversation for you?
I think in primary school, our Green Schools Committee, they were very active. They started doing things around the school and they'd put up little posters and stuff. And I'd say we were all about 10, but the work they were doing looked really interesting. So then when I came to secondary school and there was Green Schools being formed and there was members, like it was open for application, I applied to that, and I think from that it just grew, like my knowledge about it and the information I was able to access.
Amazing. And Hugh, where did you first start to learn about these issues?
Well, I started learning about this stuff all the way back in junior infants, but the issues themselves more second class.
Incredible. And do you think that's, a good synopsis of your learning? Do you think you've learned?
I think that's when you start to learn real things, so I would say good time.
Brilliant. And Yu Ming, what started you down that path?
I think I have only one teacher to thank, and that's a man named Mr. Grehan. From taking me over to Fridays for Futures, which is a protest held outside the Dáil every Friday, to organising beach cleanups on Saturdays whenever he can, from that I was able to learn so much more about the local ecosystems and just learn how to appreciate them so much more.
Yeah, and Emily, what made you think about these things?
My dad. So my dad is an energy manager, and from when I was really young, he would always say, I just stuck in my head, whenever we'd leave a room, he'd tell us to turn off the light to save the planet, and he'd tell us all this thing about climate change, but he wouldn't push it on us because he knows it could be really scary. And then I went to primary school and there was a Green Schools Committee, and it was really cool to be on the Green Schools Committee. So whenever I stood up and gave his speech of why I should be on the Green Schools Committee, and then just stuck at it ever since.
Yeah, I'd say for me it was just having my mum. My mum, like your dad, is just so involved in that kind of thing. So she's just had me growing that way. So that's just the way I had to be. But I actually have really embraced it now. And obviously with Ecolution, it's just a part of my life. So I think we can all relate that it's just, a part of how we live and how we live by. So as always, we like to include a question from one of our listeners, especially when it's about the topic.
I'm Amelia.
I'm Connor.
And we're from
Clarehan National School.
Do you think we learn enough about the nature and the climate crisis in our classrooms?
So Connor from Clarehan's National School asks, do you think we learn enough about nature and the climate crisis in our classrooms? Yu Ming, I'm going to start with you. What do you think?
Well, I think, I'm not sure how old the listener is, but in secondary school, I think we addressed the problems really, really well. Especially courses in junior cert like geography or SPHE really addresses what's causing climate change and all. But I think we need to focus a bit more on the solutions, because once you learn the problem, it's oh no, let's panic. But I think if we focused more on activism and solutions instead of just the problems, I think it'd be a lot better.
100%. Focus on the positive and what we can do.
Yeah.
So Emily, do you feel that what happens in your school is a good example?
Yeah, I would think so. In my school anyway, I think our learning is very student-led in terms of environmental education, and so then we can teach the main problem of today that's going to affect our generation to our generation, and I suppose more the biodiversity. I think I agree with Yu Ming. In secondary school, they're with the geography and then the science course, you do go out and you do hands-on stuff with biodiversity, in the junior cert sciences, ecology and stuff. And we went out, myself and Chloe in science, so we did studies of our local habitats and stuff. So I think it is very good in our school anyway.
Yeah. And Hugh?
So we start learning about these things a lot before in school, and the problems we also learn about a lot. So I think they're teaching it very well in all schools. So I think that's a very good thing, yeah.
Great. And Chloe, what have you learnt in school? Has it been a good place to discuss your thoughts about the climate crisis?
Definitely. I think Just as Yuming said, a lot of the Junior Cert course, they include or incorporate parts of the climate crisis into each topic and how it relates to each subject. And I think that's great, but I'd love if it kind of expands to where student voices can be heard a bit more, or that we talk more about the solution. Like, I definitely remember in primary school, like, my favourite classes were art, where we'd focus on the environment, and I think we've kind of strayed from how amazing the environment is to always look at the problems. And I think now it's kind of time to turn again to the solutions and why we want to solve this problem.
Yeah, I totally agree with all of you. I think it is really important that it's taught to us from an education point of view. I know that in my school, the only way you're going to get any type of climate education is in geography, and I didn't choose geography. So, if you don't choose it, then you're completely lacking in that education. So I think it is quite a mixed bag in schools, but one thing I found is that you need at least one person to get the ball rolling. So do any of you have teachers or people who inspire you and make things happen in your homes or schools? Hugh, I'll go to you.
I do. His name is Mr. Edgar. He's the head of our Green Schools committee at school. He's actually the one who kind of started teaching. He used to come into a few classrooms, and he's the one who chose me for a little thing. We'd go around in some 6th class years, and we would teach about to the younger classes how we need to grow more trees in Ireland specifically.
Amazing. And Chloe, who's that person in your life that inspired you?
I think the same as Hugh, our Green Schools coordinator, Miss Gray. She's been amazing, ever since we joined in first year. She's never pushed anything onto us, her own environmental beliefs or anything. She's let us lead the committee where we wanted to go, and been that kind of guiding hand and a massive, I suppose, inspiration for all of us. She's given all of her time. Any Saturday we needed her, she'd go up to Dublin with us on long days and come home at the train at 10 o'clock, and she's just so kind about everything. And I think it's definitely, obviously she's doing incredible work, but to do it with such an incredible attitude as well is something that makes her so inspirational.
That's so lovely to hear. And Yuming, who drives the conversation in your school?
I think it's definitely Mr. Gran once again. Yeah, he does absolutely phenomenal work in regards to trying to involve younger years and all. It's the same as
Miss Gray, yeah.
Miss Gray, yeah. He's completely he's so generous in giving up his time. Even now, before I came here today, I was actually away on a school trip with him, learning more about the DART Plus program and all of that. That's just one example of what he does. So it has to be him, I think.
He sounds very involved, which is hard to catch in a teacher. So Emily, you and Chloe are in school together. Do you share that one person, or is the conversation you have at home a little bit different?
Yeah, I'd say the two conversations are very different, but I'd have to agree with Chloe as well, Miss Gray, just her passion for climate action and all this, and the commitment she has to us and our school and the committee, and she'll do whatever it takes to, drive us to our potential. But at home, I'd have to say again, my dad. Everything I know comes from him, and he's really helped me in this climate activism space, and he's a climate activist himself, and he's just so educated in all things climate. So I'm very grateful to him for that.
Incredible. I have the same thing with my mum. She has really driven everything I know to this day. So we are coming to a close on this subject, but I'd like to ask one last question. Do you feel the curriculum needs to be more direct in addressing the climate crisis? Yuming?
I think it's very direct in addressing the problems, but not direct enough when addressing the solutions. They talk about the large scale solutions, which is policy and all of that, but I think we need to focus more on how we can change things, whether it be going on a protest or going, to a Fridays for Future protest, or beach cleaning. I think just from that you gain so much hope for yourself, because you feel like you're doing something to help the issue.
Yeah, incredible. So we just need action, really.
Yeah.
And Hugh, what do you think needs to change in the primary curriculum?
In primary, they're more a bit softer on it. They're not really giving you the full part of the subject and all of what's happening. They more sugarcoat it, but it's not as helpful when they do that. I think they should be a bit more direct with it.
Yeah, it's a really good insight to have. So Emily, how do you feel about this? Might this year be a good place to expand your school's climate action?
Yeah, definitely. I think that in secondary school anyway, we are given different opportunities to go on ambassadorships like ISSN, but I think it's all about spreading those opportunities even. A lot of the things we do with different ambassadorships can be based in pretty tough treks in the country, especially for rural schools. So I think it's all about, for secondary schools and for primary schools, spreading all those opportunities evenly, and so everyone can access them, everyone can get involved, and everyone can take action no matter where you come from in the country.
Incredible. And Chloe, I'll give you the final word on this subject. How do you feel heading into the Leaving Cert? Will this be on the agenda for you in school?
I liked in the junior cert how much it mixed into our subjects, and I fear now coming into the leaving cert it'll kind of disappear a bit. Hopefully now with the new leaving cert in the 3 sciences that might include a bit more of environmental education, but I'm hoping even for the end of transition year that we might have another look at environmental education. I think even if coming into the leaving cert you can't include it in each of the different subjects, I think it's important that it becomes a transition year module for every school. Like I know we do it in our school and it's very good and it's very student-led, but I think every school deserves and every student deserves the opportunity, whether or not they're involved in ambassadors or groups, to learn more about our environment. So definitely, yeah.
That's amazing. So that's a great point from all of you. That's all we have time for today in today's show. Thanks to Hugh, Yu-Ming, Emily and Chloe for being on our panel. We'll see you next time. Again, you can find the podcast version of Ecolution, our springboard for today, wherever you get your podcasts. If you have thoughts you'd like to discuss or your own action for biodiversity that you'd like to share, get in touch at the email below. Bye!